I haven't done much beach themed work this year, but I came across this stash of cute little wave designed bezels and I was inspired to make a charm bracelet. Isn't that cute? But whilst I was getting ready to start making that, I was then also inspired with what I could do to incorporate some handmade bezels into the video. So I also made these. So stay tuned to find out how I made those, especially the wire work. But also there's another surprise. At the end of that video, I was lining these up for the Glamour shots and I was inspired to make 2 more items. So stay tuned as well to find out what extra items I made. And if you're lucky or unlucky, depending which way you look at it, I might even model them for you. I've already lined up some of them small bezels on some tape at the top. For your benefit, we are starting with me making the bezels for the pendant and earrings. The first thing I did was measure some wire around various objects until I found items that made the bezels to the size that I wanted, and I decided this glue stick fits for my earrings. When I wrap the wire around, I overlap by 1 centimetre, and that extra centimetre is what I need to make the bail. The bail is just going to be a loop, a small loop at the top, so I'm coming in with my bail making pliers on the smallest step to twist one end of the wire back on itself, then coming in with the very end of my needle nose pliers just to tighten up that loop and make it a little smaller and neater. Then my flat nose pliers just to straighten it back up again. So I've done that twice, stuck them to some tape, and now I'm just using a little dot of clear hard type UV resin to stick the unlooped end of the wire to the underside of the bail loops. And then I've done all that again using a larger cylindrical object to make a larger bezel for my pendant. And now I'm starting to work out how I'm going to make my wave designs. So these are my bail making pliers, or 6-step pliers, and just out of frame there I'm just starting off a curve using those pliers. Don't worry if you want to see that, because I will do it again shortly. Once I had cut it to roughly the size that I think I wanted, I then played about with different positions and then trimmed it up and reshaped it a bit more as needed with my fingers or with the help of the pliers again. And then I cut another piece again, just roughly curving it, and then I will use the first piece as a guide for the size and shape so that I get them matching. So these are for the small sections of the wave, so 1 for each earring, and then as you can see I'm trying to make sure they're matching in their positions. And now I'm using my nylon pliers to re-straighten the wire a bit, and this will be for the small wave for the pendant, which will obviously be bigger, so I'm not using the previous ones as a guide this time. Whilst you watch me work on this for a moment, I would like to say my hellos and thank yous. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me and welcome. I really hope that you enjoy this video and stick around and check out my back catalogue. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. If you're not new here, thank you so much for returning. And of course, I hope you enjoy the video too. I'm really enjoying stretching myself with making my own bezels. And in the case of today's video, even the pre-made bezels were fun to work with in terms of deciding how to attach them together to create a piece of jewellery. So I would be really grateful if you watch the whole video, because there are lots of processes that I go through throughout, and there will be a couple of little surprises at the end when I do the glamour shots. Thank you for listening. I'll stop rambling for now. Okay, those pliers are making it the curve too steep. Obviously, they only go up to a certain size. There are bigger ones, I just haven't bought them yet. Anyway, so out comes the glue stick again to make a less steep curve. And with a little bit more trimmed off, we finally get there. Back to the earrings to make the largest part of the wave. and I do the same again. I cut off a rough amount that I think I want, and then using various tools or my fingers to shape it, I shape the first one, then I use the first one as a guide for the size and shape of the second one. Then I will make the one for the pendant separately again. It was at this point I decided that I wanted the design of the earrings to be facing opposite ways. This is the rambling thought process that goes through my head when I'm making something I've never made before. Anyway, so I had it in my head that they needed to be able to face the same way when they're on your ears, but nobody's looking at both ears at the same time, so who's going to notice if they're not facing the same way? Anyway, it's up to you. This is what I chose to do at this time. You'll notice that I looped the bail loops the opposite ways with this in mind at the beginning. So I had it in mind that I wanted them to be opposite, then I forgot, and then I remembered again. Okay, the colours that I'm going to use are from a company called About. I'm just going to use these four, and I don't have the box for you. I bought these before I knew that I was going to do YouTube, so I just put my powders into a plastic box, didn't think about needing the packaging, but obviously anything that I use I will try to link in my description. On that subject, I am now an Amazon affiliate, so the links in my description are affiliate links. If you purchase anything using those links, I do earn a very small commission, but it's of no cost to you whatsoever. So I'd be very grateful for your support in using those links if you do decide to buy anything that you've seen me use. Thank you very much. Okay, it is resin time, and the first colour I'm going to use is turquoise. That is going to be for the sea. The two colours that I use for the sky are called dark blue and blue. So I do an area of dark blue immediately above the wave, and then to represent the highest part of the sky, I use the one that's just called blue. And I do also use a white to try and make some frothiness at the top of the waves. I'm using craft resin, UV resin. It's just a hard type, low viscosity, and it's a complete guess as to how much resin I need and how much colour to resin ratio to do. But whenever I mix any colours into UV resin now, I always do a cure test first. And the way that I do that is I put a blob of the mixed resin onto my silicone mat or onto my tape, as I'm doing on this one. Put that into cure for 2 minutes into my Let's Resin Jewel lamp and check that that cures. And if that cures, it will be fine in my project as well. And just give that a poke with the stick and make sure it is solid. When putting my first layers of colours down, I didn't want to do too many at a time in case of any leakage. So I did the pendant, then cured that, then I did the C of the pendant, then cured that, then the C of the earrings, then cured them, and then the small bezels, one colour at a time, all together. Then I went around in that same fashion with the dark blue, making a sort of a strip of dark blue that follows the shape of the wave for the pendant, cured that, earrings, cured them, and so on, and did the same with the light blue. With the small bezels, it was very awkward because I didn't want to put too much in and I'd not put enough in, so I actually had to make the base layer of dark blue in 2 sittings, so to speak.
In a quiet room, late night glow, mixing dreams with resin slow. Some ideas I already know, some scare me half to death, but I still go. Epoxy waves.
Just to demonstrate with the pendant only what I do with the light blue and merging the colours. So I fill up the remaining space with the light blue. I also put a bit more dark blue on top of the previous dark blue, just so that I've got 2 colours of wet resin to swirl together. That of course makes the dark blue layer uneven because there is patches of an extra layer, but we'll sort that out in a minute. Again, because I'm working on the base layer where the light blue is concerned. I do the pendant only, then the earrings, and then the bezels, same as for the first colours. I'm now putting a wave on, and I'm trying to make it look like the froth is going to hit the sea again. So you have your crest of your wave comes up into your skyline, and you have spray coming up into the skyline, but the wave itself crashes back on itself on the sea, doesn't it? I'm really wishing that I had used a white liquid pigment. So that's a tip for myself for next time. Don't be so blinkered to just get one pack of colourants out. Having said that, at the end of the day, when the pieces are finished, I think they still look pretty. They'd look a bit prettier if I could have been a bit more successful shaping the waves, shaping the spray pattern between these two earrings. You can tell that I didn't get a consistent pattern. On the left, it does look more like wave spray than on the right. So regardless of what medium you're using, the success rate with making the pattern will obviously make a difference. With these mini bezels, I did wait until I was doing the clear top coat before adding the white. I apologise for the reflection. I hope you'll be able to see me adding the white on the lower left ones at least. I'll jump ahead to putting the white on right now.
Trying to get it wrong to get it right. Hands not perfect, that's okay. Every mark is part of the way. I step outside what feels safe and known. Build something beautiful on my own. If it breaks, I'll show you why. If it works, we'll both fly. I make it with a heart, every part. Love in the mess, love in the art. If I say I should have, you'll understand. If I can't fix it, you still learn from my hands. Made with a heart from the start. This is creating with a heart. Some days smooth, some days rough. Some days, yeah, some days that's enough. But every pour, every try has a reason, has a why. If I find the way, it's there.
Right, here's a better angle now that they are cured. Okay, I don't want them to be completely flat on the backside, so I'm just giving them a very thin top coat again with the clear hard type. And on the fronts, I will give them a dome coat with my J Diction high viscosity. Okay, time to attach the jewellery. Now, I have learned how to make my own jump rings. However, I have varied results. I do give it a go to start with, but then I revert to my pack of pre-made ones. At the end of the day, whilst I've still got some pre-made ones, I'm going to use them up, but every now and again I will slip in an attempt at making my own, and eventually mine will be good enough consistently that I can show you how to make them. So I'm using my 1mm thick wire, which is the same as what I used for the bezels. I've given it a bit of a straighten with my nylon pliers, and now using my bail making pliers. You need the end of your wire to be not sticking out between the grip of the pliers. You need to not be able to feel it. I make 2 attempts with the bail making pliers and then trying to tighten it up with my needle nose pliers. Then I make a 3rd attempt purely using the needle nose pliers. I'm not happy with any of the 3 attempts. I have learned some tips since filming this though, so hopefully next time I'll be able to get it better and show you the correct way. Okay, jumping ahead then, so we're going to put together the pendant first. As always, for the purposes of glamour shots, I make my chains to the length that I want them to be for me to wear them. If I was to be gifting, I can ask the giftee if they want a different length of chain, and then I can always just cut them another piece that matches their preference, and then keep the piece that I made for myself for future project glamour shots. Or if I was selling them, obviously I would measure them properly so that I can put a measurement in the description, but I don't sell my work at the moment. see the links in my description for the collaboration playlist and the collaboration announcement video to find out how you can take part even if you don't make videos. I will also link my Just Jewellery playlist, so that is just my projects, whereas the collaboration has a few videos from other creators in it as well. Alright, now I need to decide how I'm going to connect these together. My initial idea was to attach very small hoops to the bottom of the bezels, so say a quarter of a jump ring curled round very tightly, UV resin to the bottom of the bezel, then use jump rings to attach a bottom hoop to a top hoop. But I decided that would look silly, like this. So I thought of an even prettier way. So this is where working with the pre-made bezels became more fun, having to think outside the box on how to make a piece of jewellery with them that would be really elegant looking, I think. So what I mean by thinking outside the box in terms of this project is, rather than just using the chain to make a pendant, using it to make the bracelet as well, and making a charm bracelet, i.e. the bezels hanging off it, rather than it being a fixed bracelet, which it would have been if I had done my previous idea. Nothing would have been dangling, nothing would move. So I cut a piece of chain to fit my wrist. Then I plotted where I would want the first bezel and the last bezel to be dangling from, because I don't want them to go all the way to the clasp. I positioned my first and my last where I would want them to be. Then I lined them all up to get them spaced out, and then counted links so that I could space them evenly, and attached a jump ring to the required link in the chain to then attach the bezels to. I then dome coated these with the high viscosity as well. I didn't do that earlier because I knew I was going to be handling the bezels a lot and I was going to dull them, so I waited till now to dome them so that I could shine them back up. So that is the end of the projects that I videoed. However, please stay tuned because, as I said at the beginning, there are some bonus items which I made off camera, and I'm going to do a Glamour video for you with me modelling these pieces, and I'll explain the inspiration for the additional pieces during the Glamour video. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. If you think I've earned it, there's a link for Buy Me a Coffee. All donations are gratefully received to help me with the cost of supplies. Thank you so much. Have a good week, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye. Hi everybody. So let's show you the handmade bezels first. So here's the necklace, and I can't model earrings just yet. I've had my ears re-pierced, especially so that I can model earrings, but I can't change them yet. So let's see if I can. That's the back. Oh, let's see if I can show you in good enough light. I can't actually see because my eyes are going blurry when I try and look that way. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, now here's the bracelet. Now, whilst I was getting ready to do the glamour shots for the 3 items I've just shown you, so I was taking a photo of my bracelet on its card, and I thought, so I'm looking at it like that, and I thought that would look lovely as a necklace as well. So there's the necklace, which I made shorter, almost choker, but not quite. So imagine wearing that and the bracelet. But then I sent my daughter the pictures of the bracelet and the handmade bezels, and she said if you cut that in half, that would look good as a pair of earrings. So guess what I made next? A pair of earrings. So imagine wearing that necklace and these earrings and the bracelet all together. So that's an even more pretty set. But they're still pretty too. So 2 sets of earrings. The only thing that's not interchangeable is the bracelet. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.
Every part, loving the mess, loving the art. If I say I should have, you'll understand. If I can't fix it, you still learn from my hands. Made with a heart from the start. This is creating with a heart.